This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'd like to be joined by Adam Smith here in Newcastle. Adam, welcome up to the North East. How are you?
I'm very good, Ryan. Delighted to be back here. Fantastic city, wonderful times for Newcastle, obviously, with the developments over the last week, and the fans excited about a revival here. And yeah, we love coming here to the North East. Boxing is hugely popular around here, and I think we've always said for many years it's been a sleeping giant of a city, and I've always loved it, whether it was Nigel Benn and Joe Calzaghe back in the day. We used to come up here, Nassim Hamid fought here, and now over the last few years we've seen Lewis Ritson come through, and now there's a huge amount of North East talent, and really excited to be showcasing much of that on Saturday night on our second Boxer show. It's a great time for boxing, and on the back of what happened last week, where everyone's talking about one of the great fights, one of the great heavyweight battles of all time, it's brilliant, isn't it? All eyes are on boxing again, which is terrific.
We've got the show here in Newcastle on Saturday night with this new era of Sky Sports Boxing. Adam, I wanted to ask you about the fighters that are attached to Sky, whether Wasserman or Boxer. There's a big North East focus. Is that something you guys have made a conscious effort to do, to strategise and target this region?
Very much so. Ben Shalom and I have been working for 4 or 5 months together, very long hours, and sort of strategizing where we think parts of the country that have maybe some sort of nuggets that we haven't seen, some unheralded fighters, and we believe that the North East, together with the passion and the fervent support that this city has for sport, that this is certainly a place we'd like to be regularly coming to. Liverpool as well for our first tournament show in a few weeks' time, and as you've seen, obviously London and other places, but yeah, Newcastle and the North East are very close to my heart. So I worked with Glenn McCrory for many years on Sky, of course. The North East first world champion and a great guy, and Stewie Hall then came, and very close connection with Savannah Marshall, who is my scholar at Sky, and wonderful that she's headlining, she's defending her world title, and yeah, I think there's a huge amount of talent here as well that some people don't know about. So it's a chance for us to give the biggest platform in the UK for sport that synergy with fighters, and the chance for them to become superstars. Look at big Steve Robinson, for example. What a character. A lot of people outside of Newcastle wouldn't know much about him, but this is an opportunity for him and for many others to really get going now.
You mentioned Savannah Marshall there, world title action on the card. She defended a W middleweight title, so let's kind of start there. She's got this fight to take care of on Saturday, but she told me not long ago that a big reason for her joining Boxer was the Clarissa Shields fight. She said it's 99% done. She's also confident it'll be in the UK. Do you think it could land up here?
I think it's almost 100%, so 99 is pretty good odds, isn't it? Another thing was, for us, the females in boxing have been phenomenal over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Katie Taylor leading the way, Terry Harper, Chantel Cameron, so many others, and Tasha Jonas, Savannah, part of that Team GB back in 2012, where Natasha fought Katie Taylor in one of the greatest atmospheres I remember. Savannah, unfortunately, didn't perform at London 2012. She was robbed in Rio. She, did so well at the Worlds in various stages. Obviously beat Clarissa, won the world title many years ago as an amateur, and has that win over Shields. So it's a natural fight, and I really want to make it happen come the spring. I think we want to get Clarissa over here to fight, and then Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall have got to reenact one of the biggest fights in the world, at any weight. I just think it's a terrific fusion of women's boxing at its very best, and we will go to town on that when it happens. But Ben's worked closely with Dimitri Salita on securing Clarissa on our platform, which I'm delighted about. And it was something that, when Savannah Marshall came over, she wanted Clarissa Shields, and I think that's really important. She remains with Sky, and she's going to have that big fight with Clarissa Shields, very soon, within the next few months, and I can't wait for it.
One notable addition to this card, Adam, Chris Eubank Jr. had the disappointment of missing out a couple of weeks ago. I was there in London, day before the fight was pulled. He is going to be on this card instead. Do you think this could end up being a better opponent and a better fight?
Yeah, potentially, yes. Only one defeat on the record. He's unbeaten for many years, and Yeah, of course. He's untested really at sort of Chris Eubank Jr.'s level, so it's a step up. But he'll be taking that opportunity. For Chris, obviously, he had a very difficult time a couple of weeks ago when he was meant to fight, and we took the decision that he couldn't. The match wasn't right, and we waited, and we wanted to get Chris out very quickly. So we talked with Wasserman straight away afterwards, and managed to navigate a way to get him on this bill to add to what's already a huge card here in Newcastle, to get Chris out and running, because of course he's been through a desperately sad and tragic time for his family recently, and I think he wanted to get back into a ring, and I think we wanted to make sure that happened with what didn't take place at Wembley a couple of weeks ago, to make sure that he was up and running quickly. And should he come through this on Saturday, then we want to get him out again before Christmas, keep the momentum going with Chris Eubank, and with him and with Savannah defending her world title. And she's got to get through that, of course, before the Clarissa Shields fight and the appearances in the future with the big fights. She's got to get through. This is an unbeaten Zambian, so you can never take anything for granted. But Savannah should come through, Chris should come through, and we've got big plans for both of them. But yeah, Saturday night they need to make sure they don't slip up.
Let's talk about those big plans. Chris Eubank has wanted every big name for a long time now. A lot of the belts at 160 and 168 are tied up right now. I saw Liam Williams yesterday saying he's received an offer for that fight. Is that the most likely for later in the year?
Yeah, I think, look, Liam Williams is a great fight. There's other domestic fights, Danny Dignam, other talents there that he could go in with. But I think we want to see Chris, within the next 6 to 9 months in a blockbuster fight. And I'm talking about the likes of Gennady Golovkin, and it's a huge division. It's packed with talent, and I'd like to see Chris getting that opportunity in a really big fight. He had a big fight with Billy Joe Saunders probably a little bit earlier in his career. He had the one with George Groves where many thought he'd come through, but he didn't. And then he did well against, obviously, James DeGale. But he needs another big fight. Marcus Morrison was a decent enough test as he came back, and obviously seeing his working now with Roy Jones, important to get back up and running. Again, this is an important one mentally, I think, after what he's been through in the last few weeks and months from a personal point of view. So it's important to get back on the horse and get back to a place where he feels the most comfortable. And then, I think, maybe a big domestic opponent back end of the year, and I think looking for a huge fight come springtime for Chris.
Adam, it was a big weekend for boxing last weekend out in Las Vegas. We saw Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder play out an absolute classic. What was going through your head watching that fight? Unbelievable.
Wish I was there. I wish I was ringside, commentating on it. You want to be there for all the big fights, and we can't be. We took our hats off to BT and DAZN last weekend, who gave me as a fight fan a huge night of boxing. I loved it, every minute of it. I thought Liam Smith's win against Anthony Fowler was a crackling atmosphere, wasn't it? Really good fight, and obviously the Troy Williamson Ted Cheeseman fight was brilliant. It was a good show in Liverpool, and then on to Vegas, and it was one of the great fights, wasn't it? A fantastic advert for heavyweight boxing, for boxing full stop. Tyson Fury, absolutely brilliant. I thought the way that he handled, the adversity of a couple of knockdowns and went back to Sugar Hill in the corner and got back to his boxing and, just reset, I thought was, he's the greatest heavyweight on the planet at the moment, and fair play to him. He's basically beaten Deontay Wilder 3 times. I thought he won the first fight. I was there at ringside for the second fight where he dismantled the Bronze Bomber, but then take nothing away from Wilder's guts and spirit to hang in there for so long. Last Saturday he was an absolute look, there was no losers really. Yes, Tyson Fury cemented his place, but you've got to take your hat off to Deontay Wilder for what he went through, and for his just everything, the courage, the gladiatorial attitude, and of course he had Fury down a couple of times, which made it one of the great fights, great heavyweight fights of the modern era, no doubt.
In terms of Tyson Fury, we think the Dillian Whyte fight's probably likely if he beats Otto Wallin. We're waiting to see who's going to win the Joshua Usyk rematch as well. What is it going to take to beat Tyson Fury at this point?
It's going to take a great amount to beat Tyson Fury at this point. wonder what John McDermott's thinking. Big John McDermott, you know, all those years ago, who many people felt beat Tyson that night. You know, Tyson's been incredible, hasn't he? You know, his performance over in Germany against Vladimir Klitschko was wonderful in its own right, but then, you know, ballooning up to 30-odd stone and going through all the problems that he's had, and to come back. I remember talking to him in Monaco when he came out for a show we had with Eddie, and he said to us he was going to become world heavyweight champion again. I mean, it was surprising if he even got back in a ring again in the shape he was in at that stage. So to go through that, and he always, you know, posts on his Instagram, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know, he was rock bottom, and that's an incredible story, one of the great comeback stories in sport, to do what he's done. And I think it's going to take a very, very good fighter to beat Tyson Fury. You know, styles make fights. Alexander Usyk against Fury is interesting. Obviously, does he have the size? But certainly got the skill set. But you know, what Fury does is he utilises his advantages so well. He's so big. He's so skillful. He's a natural fighter. And he comes back, as we've seen, time and time again from difficult situations. Look, Anthony Joshua's had a terrific career, and he's got a wonderful resume, and he had a bad night at Tottenham. I like to think of it as a great night for Alexander Usyk, and stylistically it was bad for AJ, and he never really got going. And I think, you know, Usyk deserves all the credit for becoming, you know, the world heavyweight champion and cleaning up those belts. But Joshua will want revenge. He's obviously triggered the rematch. A lot of people will be saying that's a tough ask, but you know, count AJ off at your peril, and then look, if you can get through Usyk, that fight with Tyson Fury is still there, very much so. But he needs to do that. He's going the hard way in many ways. He could take a softer fight, Joshua, but he wants the belts back, and that's what he's all about. He wants the competition. So that's great that AJ, you know, wants to go straight back into the fire. We'll see if it's the right decision. And then what happens is that the winner of that presumably will fight the winner of Tyson Fury, and as you say, it should be Dillian Whyte. Dillian's waited a long time. He's been a mandatory. He's obviously had that hiccup against Povetkin. He's put that to rest, and now he's got to get through Otto Wallin, and if he does that, he deserves the opportunity. It's a massive fight for Britain. It's a massive fight for world boxing. Dillian deserves that chance, and I can't wait for that fight. And Tyson Fury, I mean, he's calling the shots. For him, I'm sure he wanted some time with his family. You know, his youngest daughter was not well, and I'm sure he wants time now with Paris and the kids. And yeah, as I said, he'll call the shots, and we'll have him back whenever. I mean, let's just hope he stays in boxing for the next 2 or 3 years, because if he does walk away, which is obviously his, if he wants to, it's his choice, and he's got nothing to prove. But I'd like to see him prove more. I'd like to see him fight Joshua, Dillian, Usyk, all of those fighters. And I think when he's done that, and if he beats them all, then we can start saying that he's as good as Lennox Lewis, or as good as some of the real greats of heavyweight boxing through the ages. He's the best heavyweight in the world at the moment, but for me, Lennox Lewis still, you know, for the length of his career and what he achieved and the many great nights he had, is still for me the number one heavyweight we've produced. Tyson Fury's not far behind now, though, is he?
I want to ask about Anthony Joshua, Adam. We spoke before the Usyk fight. He had one fight left on his broadcasting deal. You said you were very confident in retaining Anthony Joshua on Sky Sports, and you feel he's a very loyal guy. Where are we at with his broadcast and future? Anything you can tell us?
I don't think that's changed one little bit. I think he is a very loyal guy. We've had a fantastic relationship with Anthony Joshua, wonderful partnership. He's been a great ambassador, an advocate, a wonderful person for Sky, and I think we have for him. We've given him a huge platform for him to develop his career, you know, stadium fighter, whatever people, you know, AJ's having a tough time at the moment. You know, people are on his back about the Usyk performance. Obviously now saying Tyson Fury is the best, and I think that's fair enough that Fury has, you know, proved that. But let's not forget what Anthony Joshua has done. Two-time heavyweight champion. He's beaten everybody in front of him. You know, that incredible fight with Vladimir Klitschko, and on. You know, he exacted revenge over Andy Ruiz, went straight back, you know, into that Ruiz fight. He's not ducked anybody. I love his competitive spirit. But more than that, he's brought a whole new fan base to boxing over the last 10 years. And I think he deserves so much credit for that. We have a fantastic relationship with Anthony. And just because he lost against Alexander Usyk and it was the end of our contract, you think we're going to go anywhere? Of course not. I think he's got some commercial business at the moment in America. I can't wait for him to come back. We're going to sit down with Freddie Cunningham and the team, and hopefully we'll, you know, renew a new deal, and we'll be working with Anthony for the rest of his career, because I can't see why he'd want to leave us or why we'd want to leave him. He's been brilliant, and long may it continue. So yeah, very, very confident that we can work something out.
Last thing I want to get your thoughts on, Adam. I appreciate we've got a press conference starting soon. We saw on Twitter yesterday there was a lot of screenshots going around DAZN, sending out surveys, sort of floating the idea of a DAZN pay-per-view out there. Were you surprised by that? What did you make of it?
They didn't want to do pay-per-view, DAZN. Didn't they come out and say that they didn't want to do pay-per-view? Sure, I've heard that a few times. It's a business. If they feel that that's what they want to do and the way they want to go, then absolutely, that's their prerogative. That's their business. We're in the Sky business. We've got a huge amount of fights on Sky Sports coming up for you for the remainder of the year, all on Sky Sports, not on Sky Sports box office. We'll pick and choose carefully when we put events on Sky Sports box office. Obviously, Anthony Joshua was against Alexander Usyk, but you can see the Sky schedule. You know, we've got a double header this weekend with our Top Rank show too. We've got huge amounts coming up with Shakur Stevenson, Jamel Herring. We've got the Crawford-Porter fight. We're going to have Vasyl Lomachenko, as well as obviously Saturday night. We've got the tournament show, November 20th. We're in London. Josh Taylor at the end of the year, all Sky Sports. So we're concentrating on our business, and no doubt we will have more Sky Sports box office events to come in the future, because we know that that's the creme de la creme. That's the big event that we love working on, and we know with our track record of that we produce fantastic box office events that are second to none in the business. BT obviously had their box office event with Tyson Fury last week, and if DAZN want to go down that route, that's what they'll do. I'm a fight fan. I want to watch every fight I can, whether it's on DAZN, BT, Channel 5, whatever we go, whether it's however you get it. But I'm in the Sky business of making sure that our relationship with Boxer and with Top Rank, working very closely with Ben and with Todd, to make sure that our customers on Sky get a fantastic boxing offering. And it's not just boxing on Sky, it's about the Premier League. Where are we on Sunday for the Spurs game? It's about the Formula One, it's about cricket, it's about golf, it's about the darts. The world darts are almost on us again after the Grand Slam. There's a huge amount of sport, the NFL, netball, huge amounts. It's a massive portfolio of sports, and boxing plays its part in that, and that's the Sky business and the Sky model under the Comcast umbrella. And we want to make sure that relationship with Boxer and with Top Rank is great. It's embryonic at the moment. It's a work in progress. We'll try things out, we'll make mistakes, we'll learn, we'll try and put better and better fight cards on as we go through, and we'll try and bring more to the Sky customers. So very important for us. What's happening over with DAZN, there's some smart guys over there, Joe Markowski I know well, and the team, and they're working with Eddie Hearn, and they're going to do what they need to do for their product. And of course, it's great for fight fans that they have a choice. It's great for fighters, and that's the most important thing, Ryan, the fighters, that they get the opportunity to make money, to push their careers forward, and we believe at Sky they've got the best platform. So we're confident in our future, on new era on Sky, 30 years and counting. But of course, there are a lot of fighters and a lot of broadcasters and a lot of promoters, so there's plenty out there for everybody, and we watch with interest to see everybody's next move.
Well, Adam Smith, thank you as always for making time for Boxing Social. I'm sure I'll catch you very soon.